My husband passed away when our kids were 1 and 4. It was a really tough time and my in-laws were amazing. They took care of me as much as they did the kids. His sisters made us meals and their husbands helped with the yard and housework. I once called my father-in-law to come get us from the grocery store because I had a breakdown when some lady was rude. He arrived with my mother-in-law so they could take care of the kids and get me and my car home. After I put myself back together about 8 months later, they were still there for me. They would help with the kids while I worked. When I went back to school, they supported us. After I graduated, the best job I could get was a fair distance away, but it was in a city where I have family. We talked and prayed about it, and they said they understood why I needed to plan for our future. The problem is that they always want to see the kids, which is great. They're wonderful people and the kids and I love them. However, I'm starting my career late in life. I cannot afford to take a week off work to take the kids a couple of states over, or to fly there for a weekend visit, and the kids are too young to travel by themselves. The kids and I spent Thanksgiving with my mom and dad and Christmas with my in-laws. It's only been a month and now they want the kids and me to come back for my mother-in-law's birthday, to the lake this summer and to do many other things. I will not be able to save any money if this keeps on. I finally spoke with them and it was clear that I wanted them to be a huge part of my children's lives, but if they wanted to see them that much, they needed to contribute money. For example, I said they could have the kids for 2 weeks this summer, but would have to either pick them up or drop them off. I would do the other, and that they could come to my city to visit instead of always expecting me to drive there. I sold my old house and purchased a home with an in-law suite so they could stay with us. They've never used it. I know they're close-knit and all live in the same city, but it's too big a commitment for me to be responsible for them seeing the kids. They were upset that I was being this way, and one of my sisters-in-law called me to tell me that her family was disappointed that I was being this way after all they did for us. I feel bad, but I'm just unable to do everything they want without them helping financially. Am I the idiot for demanding my in-laws to pay if they want to see my kids? Not the idiot. Your in-laws sound like they've been incredibly supportive and it's clear you appreciate everything they've done. However, there's a practical aspect to consider here. You're not just starting a new career, you're also a single parent balancing work, kids and life. It's not unreasonable to ask for logistical and financial support if they want frequent visits. The entire problem is that OP isn't properly communicating the situation to them. Her phrasing is terrible. She needs to lay it out for them very clearly and say, "The last thing I want to do is prevent you from spending time with the kids. I want you to see them frequently and have the best possible relationship with them, but my finances are precarious and I literally cannot afford to bring the kids to you any more frequently than I already am because every time I visit you it costs a ton of money. These are all the alternatives, including you coming to visit us. I'm sorry, but you are the idiot for your terrible communication." Yikes, you need to contribute money sounds like exploitation. I disagree. OP bought a house with an in-law suite. They're the ones who don't want to use it. At this point, I wouldn't want to carry 100% of the travel costs either, if they can't even manage to visit once instead of having her fly over. I mean, for Christmas it made sense, and for the birthdays of mother-in-law and father-in-law, but the other times they could choose to visit her instead. If they want to see them more often, they can use the guest room she got for them. That's all the compromise that's needed. My parents were well off and worked hard, but they were neglectful towards me. By the time I was 10, they decided I didn't need a nanny anymore, and then I didn't have parental figures. They spent all their time and energy at work and didn't have time for me. When I met my wife, she was a vibrant, intelligent, caring woman. She would give you the shirt off her back. We spent hours and hours together talking about everything and anything, but it gradually slowed down. She would come home from work, crawl immediately into bed and watch TikTok for the next 3 hours. She wouldn't engage, barely do anything, and only do chores sometimes, ending up paying for someone to do her share. She would always say she was tired and then stay up all night sometimes, or sleep for 18 hours. Seeing her glued to her phone or computer instead of engaging with me wasn't very good. I asked for a separation. It was tough because she cried and begged me not to, and I still loved her, but being with her was like a flashback to my parents. We both knew that separations basically always end in divorce. An old friend of my wife's recently reached out to me and cussed me out. She told me that my wife had cancer and how dare I leave her during a tough time. I had no idea she had cancer. I asked my wife why she'd hidden it from me. and she said that I was divorcing her and she didn't want to guilt trip me into staying or be manipulative. I asked her how long she'd known. She found out 3 weeks after we separated. I told her she should have told me. I had noticed her hair seemed thinner and she just seemed frailer overall, but she brushed it off as stressed. Honestly, I'm really upset that she didn't tell me. Do I have a right to be? Am I the idiot? Edit, I didn't jump to divorce. I pushed her to go to the doctor, and the doctor said she was just lazy, not depressed. My wife also said she wasn't depressed, she just didn't want to do anything after a long day at work. I pushed her to find out why she was so tired. She got blood tests, which came back normal. Then she said taking time off work to go to the doctor was annoying, so she gave up. You're separated. You're heading to divorce. You couldn't handle her when all she did was sleep. Do you think you'd stick around with a cancer diagnosis? Are you kidding me? You are the idiot. You noticed her hair was thinner and she looked frail. Something was physically wrong with her and her doctor was dismissive. You are her husband. You should have been her advocate when she was too weak to advocate for herself. You were so wrapped up in your emotions and childhood trauma that you neglected your wife. Yeah, it's pretty clear that if he loved her more, or at all, he would have made more effort. It wouldn't have taken much more effort to clear the near zero amount he had put into his marriage so far. Me. She looked sick, but whatever. Me. Her doctor said she was lazy when those symptoms were screaming depression and maybe something else. Sounds like a crap doctor. He needed to be her support and get her to a doctor who would listen. He failed her. He doesn't get to continue to hear about her life if he's decided to cut her out and she doesn't want to share. OP, you left her. Anything happening in her life after you threw your marriage and your wife away because she was struggling is none of your business. She owes you nothing. My husband, 42, Daryl, and I, 42 female, have 3 kids, 18 male, a young teen female, and a tween female. We've been together since we were 15 and married since we were 18. I've never really had any contact with his father. He has always been distant with him and has made sure to keep me away as well. So I don't know much about his father other than the few things he's brought up only once or twice. He has mentioned that he hates his father, that he was an idiot, and that he would mistreat him and his sister every day. His mother took her own life when he was 13, and he's been in therapy since. So his relationship with his father is practically non-existent. All he has as a real family is his younger sister. My contact with his father had only been before we got married. Daryl has always tried to keep me as far away from him as possible. I've only interacted with him when I first met his family and when he graduated high school. When we got married at 18, he cut all contact with his father and prohibited me and our kids from ever contacting him or inviting him to anything. That included our wedding, kids' special days, and so on. They've never met their grandpa and it's always bothered them. They've all met my sister-in-law, 40, and love her as family. They frequently ask for her and are very close. She's been to every main event and family gathering. I'm not very close to her, but I've maintained a good relationship. I asked her about her parents and how it was growing up, and she tried to evade the question and even started to get nervous. She refused to answer my question and changed the subject. Daryl never really told me much about it either, and has reacted the same way when our kids have asked him about his family. On Thanksgiving, we had a family dinner. My whole family attended. Of course, my sister-in-law attended. Everyone got wasted and had a good time. That was until my youngest asked if Grandpa would attend this year. My other kids jumped on the bandwagon and bombarded her with questions about why he was never here. She got overwhelmed and stormed out. My husband scolded them and went to make sure his sister was okay. When we got home, he told them never to bring him up again, to erase even the thought that Grandpa does not exist. This lit a fire under all of them because to them it seemed like a mystery, a hidden character who they were dying to meet. Since then, they've hounded me about it. Mom, I want to meet Grandpa. Mom, why isn't Grandpa around when yours is? Why don't you invite Grandpa over? All I could tell them was that Dad didn't get along with Grandpa and that Grandpa was mean to him. It didn't seem to shake their resolve to meet him. I've brought it up to my husband. If his kids want to meet their grandpa, maybe they should get to meet their grandpa at least once. They deserve it. He didn't like the idea and told me never to bring up this subject again. He told me that they would never meet that man. He didn't care about how much our kids wanted to meet him. He again prohibited me from ever contacting his father, let alone letting his kids meet him. My kids continued to hound me and beg me to visit Grandpa. I felt bad for them and thought maybe they should meet him just once. They deserved at least one visit. I convinced myself that it was okay and eventually agreed to do it. I told them that this would be our little secret and not to tell their father. Their faces lit up, and throughout the week they would ask if I was taking them today or tomorrow. So I took them to see their grandpa this upcoming weekend. I told my husband that we were going to the mall and that we would be back late. When we got home, my husband greeted us and ordered takeout. His sister was there as well, already chowing down. My husband and I went to the kitchen to get something to drink while his sister talked to my kids. I overheard her ask them how their day was and what they did. My youngest excitedly responded, "We got to meet and have ice cream with Grandpa." My husband dropped his cup and it shattered on the floor. I told him I could explain, but he didn't give me the chance to and told me not to say a word. He will be going for a drive to think and will be back. I pleaded for him to hear me out, but he left. His sister was angry as well and followed, but before leaving she asked me why, on God's green earth, I would take them to him. Now my kids are asking what happened, and I'm unsure what. Children the vague truth to stop their inquiries, and if they continue to ask, reprimand them until your husband and their aunt are ready to explain the situation. How hard is it to say, Grandpa is a bad man who hurts people and we don't associate with people who hurt people? But this? It's disrespectful to everyone possible. Plus, her two oldest are teens. She could easily have explained the situation to them and they would have understood and stopped asking. You are the idiot, and what a terrible partner you are. Awful. Not only should he divorce you, I hope he gets custody. My two girls do not get along. It has to deal with some jealousy issues my oldest daughter has towards her younger sister. This has been an issue since they've been in the same middle school. My oldest is in 8th grade and my youngest is in 6th grade. The issue started when my youngest started doing better in school. She would come home with straight A's. My oldest is good academically too, but she's usually a B student and getting an A is a big deal for her. That came to a head when my oldest told the youngest she didn't deserve her grade. We put her in counselling after that. Overall, the relationship has not been getting better. The main issue at the moment is my oldest calling her sister shallow for the things she likes and keeps commenting she's a popular mean girl. We looked into this and she hasn't done anything wrong. My youngest's birthday is coming up and she wants to go to the indoor water park with a few of her friends. We do parties for both girls, so this was fine. She asked if she could have this without her sister, since her attitude would ruin her day. I talked it over with my spouse and we agreed that I would go and watch the kids and he would stay home with the oldest. Everyone's happy, but my oldest thinks we're major jerks for not allowing her to go even after we explain why multiple times. So, am I the idiot for agreeing with my daughter that she shouldn't have to invite her sister to her birthday party since she's jealous? You are the idiot. I doubt this is over some grades. Normally kids don't act like this to their siblings unless their parents are favouring one child. As the scapegoat of my family, this screams favouritism for the younger child. Your older child can't tell you how they feel because you'll dismiss their feelings. Your oldest can't trust you. You did that. Agreed. This isn't about grades. It's about your eldest not being heard by the most important people, her parents. Get to the bottom of their conflict. Inaction only favours the abuser, not the victim. Go to a counselling session with your eldest, where she will feel safe to be completely honest with you while a mediator oversees. And get the report cards off the fridge. You're only encouraging competition. Are you serious? Lots of siblings act like this over perceived slights. Teen girls are notoriously mean to sisters. Sibling relationships are complicated, and it is very, very common for siblings not to get along or suffer from jealousy. OP's not the idiot. Mean sister is reaping the consequences of her actions. Your youngest is entitled to her birthday parties even if there was no bad blood. Your youngest deserves to have a fantastic birthday without the mood being ruined. I get it, it's tough for your older daughter, but sometimes separate plans are the way to go. The older sister must learn that she can't act this way and then expect favours from the wronged party. Even though we're no longer together, my ex, Alex, and I still hang out and are in the same friend group. Alex is transgender, male to female. She came out to us after we'd broken up, but she likes to keep it on the down low with new people until she's comfortable with them. One of our friends had a party with all our friends a while back, and Alex and I were both there with our new significant others. During the party, we talked about living with our significant others. It was just about silly things and each other's quirks, all in good fun. One friend brought up how her girlfriend always steals his hoodies. I brought up how I also had to deal with my girlfriend borrowing my clothes all the time, and I never had that problem before since it was my first time living with a woman. Alex's girlfriend overheard and laughed and said, "Well, you mean besides Alex?" I maybe awkwardly laughed and said like, "Oh yeah, I guess that's true." I think maybe it made Alex's girlfriend suspicious since she continued and was like, "How did you forget?" Alex said you guys dated for years and were very serious. At that point, Alex made an excuse to leave. Things were awkward as they left since Alex's girlfriend knew something was up. Alex later told me that she wasn't ready yet to tell her new girlfriend about her being trans, and that I was such an idiot for outing her by basically forcing her to have the conversation before she was ready and ruining her relationship. I didn't mean to, though. I was bringing up something and agreeing with something someone else said about something similar to my own experience with my new girlfriend. Things were awkward with the friend group because Alex started being passively hostile to me, like she would straight up pretend I'm not there if we're in the same place with friends. So now our friends have started not inviting her since they say she's made things awkward. So Alex is saying I'm purposely turning our friends against her. I wasn't trying to do that either, but I honestly don't want to convince them to invite her again because I don't want to be around her anymore. Not the idiot. How are you in a whole relationship without telling your partner this? That's so crazy. You experienced dating Alex entirely as a man when dating. You can't and shouldn't be required to alter your memories retroactively. Advice? Don't be friends with exes. You didn't out her, someone else did. You didn't do anything wrong. You sure as heck didn't do anything on purpose. I believe she has no business dating anyone for a significant amount of time without being upfront with them about it. People have a right to make an informed decision about who they're dating. If you are at the point of calling her your girlfriend, she should know the truth going in. Oh dear Alex, you are your own worst enemy.